Howdy folks, this is Howie here at Cedar Creek Homestead, and I hope you're having a blessed day. And today's video topic is I'm answering questions regarding raising your own beef or buying a beef and taking it to slaughter, however you want to call this. However you want to call it, whatever you're doing. Maybe you're going to buy you a beef and raise it up to butcher. Maybe you are going to buy one already ready to butcher. Maybe you're going to buy halves or quarters with other people. You know what, right now as we have this beef shortage, I will give you just a little bit of news that I've heard that all of the plants are back online now, but they are not working at full capacity. The slaughter numbers are still way down. Yesterday was about 40,000 animals less than a year ago. So the numbers are going to be down. Some of the stores, restaurants, I heard that Steak and Shake has closed several stores. Some are not going to reopen just because of the financial situation. Some are having to close because of the beef shortage. Also, Sonic has been having limited menus. Our Sonic here has had some problems. In fact, I understand they totally ran out of meat the other day. Then the next day they had meat back. So we're kind of running into intermittent things, but it's getting expensive. So a lot of people's wanting to raise their own beef. So I just wanted to answer some questions here real quick on about beef. Number one question is there a difference between a heifer and a steer? If you were going to go get you a beef and raise it out on your own, I assume that's what they're meaning, would you want a heifer or a steer? A heifer is just a female young cow, a female, that has never had a baby. That's all. A steer is a castrated bull calf, a male calf. So the difference in the meat, no difference. Difference in growth. There is a difference in the growth between a steer and a heifer. A steer will outgrow and put on more weight and get more pounds than a heifer will. But the price difference, and if I raise our own beef every year here, but we raise a lot of cattle, so I consider about a whole lot of cattle. We got about 100 mama cows. So just to say that if I was going to eat one, it doesn't bother me at all to butcher a heifer. If you have a heifer that isn't going to have a calf, like if we had one that couldn't calf or something was wrong with her, that way we may just as well butcher a heifer as we would a steer, and there's nothing wrong with that. No difference in meat, except you might be 50 pounds lighter in the same time frame. If you bought a steer and a heifer, both weighing 400 pounds, in 90 days there's going to be some weight difference, and the heifer is going to weigh lighter. Normally that's the case. How old? Number two question was, how old should a beef, whether it's a heifer or steer, how old should they be before you butcher them? That answer is 18 to 24 months. So preferably before they reach 2 years of age, that is when you want to butcher them. One problem, and there's some reasonings behind that. Most believe that the tenderness of the meat, the flavor of the meat, also if you let them get bigger than 24 months, older than 24 months, it starts taking more to get them to gain. And there's just a bunch of different reasons, but 18 to 24 months old. Now, does that mean you can't butcher one that is 3-year-old or 4-year-old? Yes, you can. You can take an old cow and butcher an old cow. Probably want it all in hamburger meat, but you can butcher an old cow. In fact, that's what they do with the old cows, the old dairy cows, old farm cows that aren't worth anything much. They don't turn them into steaks usually, but they'll grind up that meat and turn it into hamburgers. And that's probably what you're getting at a lot of the fast food places. And it's good meat. Most of the time what they'll do is take and fatten them up a little bit. They'll take the old cow and they'll put her on a high ration, get her fattened up, and then butcher her. And so when you go sell, like if we sold an old cow, if they're kind of fat already, the fatter they are, the better price they'll bring. Not just because they have more pounds, but they'll bring more per pound because it's less that the feedlot has to do. Number 3 question was how big? And I prefer one to be at least 1,200 pounds. I wouldn't mind up to 1,800 or so, but generally 1,200 to 1,500 is the range that you're going to butcher one at. So could you butcher one at 400 pounds? You most certainly could. I'm telling this video out today to share this information because folks are asking, because you'll see people say, oh, I'll just go buy a 400-pound freshly weaned steer and I'll take that steer into the slaughterhouse and get it butchered. Well, that's not optimal age, and not optimal size, and not optimal age. So you want it to weigh 1,200 to 1,500 pounds and be 18 to 24 months old. Also, if you go buy one just at the sale barn, if you are used to store-bought meat, you want to feed it grain. Now, if you are fine with it kind of having what I call kind of a wild, gamey taste, don't feed it any grain. We feed ours grain. Some have asked how long we feed grain, and I like to do at least 90 days if I can. At least 30 days, but preferably at least 90 days, have one on grain. The one we're butchering right now has had some grain ration fed to him all winter long. And the past 90 days, we've really poured the grain on, and he's getting fat. But what that does will give you more of a flavoring like you're used to from the supermarket. It'll have, for my palate, that's what I like. And also, you will get, you'll see a little fat in your meat and stuff. But if you prefer just grass-fed, go for what you want. A lot of folks are switching to grass-fed beef only. They don't want any grain fed to it. They just want grass-fed. There have been some studies that say that it's better for you and all that, but then there's been studies that have contradicted those studies. So if you like beef, you know, whether you want it grain-fed or you want it grass-fed, to me that is your personal preference. Go for it. But we like the grain-fed. We've had both, and I prefer a grain-fed. If I had an old cow that was getting old, or if I went to the sale and bought an old cow that was old, I would take that cow and put her on grain for at least 30 days, maybe 60, 90 days if I could, and get her fattened up, and then take her and get her butchered and have her just ground up into hamburger meat. Works very good. I have taken 3-year-old heifers before. We had a heifer that had a calf and she lost it. She had trouble having her calf, and it's a long story behind all that, but she got back on her feet. Nothing wrong with her, but I didn't think she'd ever be able to have another baby a few years ago, so we fattened her up and butchered her, and she made excellent meat, and she was 3-year-old. So, you know, it's not just a set and dyed-in-the-wool thing that you have to do. Some want to know how much meat you would get, and you're probably going to get about 60 to 65% of what the hanging weight was. So if you hang that animal, and let's say it weighed 1,200 pounds, then how you can do the math here, I'm going to say 700 pounds of meat's what you would get roughly. And that even varies, because if you want it all boneless, and you take all the bones out, and you're going to grind it totally into hamburger meat, or boneless steaks, or boneless ribeyes, or whatever, and you're doing totally boneless, that's going to make it weigh less also. So, you know, your animal might have weighed 1,200 pounds, but you might end up, you grind the whole thing in a hamburger, no bones or whatever, no fillers put back into the meat, then you may end up with 600 pounds of hamburger, but you took a 1,200 pound animal. And probably more than likely get 7 or so, but you just get the picture. You're not going to get, you take a 1,200 pounder. There's a guy here selling some right now, roughly 1,200 pounders, he says, and he's selling them for $2,400 with $2 a pound. They've been grain fed, they're Angus, so they're selling them for $2,400, which is a lot of money. Also, he'll take them to the butcher facility of your choice, wherever you want. So you figure our beefs the past few years have ran about $500 a piece. That is one reason why you want to get them bigger. When you get your beef a larger size, the slaughter facility is going to charge you a killing fee, whether your beef is 400 pounds or 1,200. They're going to charge you a disposal fee. They have to dispose of the guts, the hide, the stuff that you're not going to use, that you won't use. So they charge you for that. In the big slaughter facilities, they have somewhere to go with all that stuff. It may be made into dog food. Some of the parts are sold to foreign countries. Some of them are considered delicacies. The tongue, all kinds of stuff they will. And they'll take a lot of the leftover. If you ever read chili, some of the chili, canned chili that you buy at the stores will say it has beef hearts in it. So they use all of those parts. When you go butcher one yourself, you're not probably going to use all those parts. But if you want to, fine. If you like the liver, that is fine. The past few years it's ran about $500. So if I take a 1,200 pound animal and get it butchered, or a 400 pound, it's still going to cost me about the same. Now they do charge you by the pound. After they get through their flat fees that they have, then they do charge you for per pound. So a 400 or 500 pound animal is going to be less, so I take that into consideration. But you've got the standard killing fee, no matter what it is, the disposal fee, and it seems like there's some other fee that our place charges that are in there regardless of how big the animal is. So just to give you some ideas. Also hogs, I just tell you, we used to like our hogs about 250 pounds. Age-wise didn't matter, but when they weighed about 250, and that would just be me looking at them and saying, I think that hog weighs about 250. I have taken them before and they weighed 225. I've took some before and they weighed 300 pounds. So after they get probably about 250 or so, it costs more for that gain. And if you're feeding mostly feed that you're buying from the store, you don't want to continue to put costly gain on them. But I have had ones like a sow one time that weighed over 400 pounds that we had raised babies for us and stuff, and we had her butchered and had the whole thing made into brats, and very delicious. So you know, the choice up to you, but on hogs I would say about 250 pound hog is what I would butcher myself. So if you go somewhere and you buy a little weaned hog that's 20 pounds, anywhere in there, you'll want to bring it home and keep it on feed as long as you can and get it on up there bigger. If you can't do it, then you know you want to. If you can't feed one out and you're just going to buy it and take direct to a slaughter, or you're buying it from someone that's going to take it for you, just remember that weight. I'm not saying that farmers are trying to deceive, but there are a few out there that's advertising 400-pound animals ready to butcher. And technically, yes, you could butcher them, but I wouldn't do that. I wanted to say too, if you're going to get something butchered, think about this also. There is a shortage right now of freezers. Our local Lowe's store, and I have heard this from people around the YouTube community around the United States that are saying they're not able to get freezers. So if you don't already have a freezer, just keep that in mind. One of my business, so what I do for a living, as most of you know, we're into the refrigeration, air conditioning type business. So we have actually hooked up walk-in coolers for folks and stuff, freezers and things like that, that they'll buy a kit and pay us to put it together, or put the refrigeration part of it together. And but I had a lady just call the other day wanting to know if we had anything she could rent. If we had a freezer she could rent or anything like that, because they were going to buy or butcher a cow, and the way she made it sound, it's going to butcher it themselves. And you can do that. You can butcher one yourself, you know, and just take the meat, debone the animal, take it and grind it all up. You can get a big grinder from, you know, somewhere like Cabela's, Bass Pro, wherever, one of those places. The reason I say that, we bought a real nice grinder from Cabela's this year, and we've used it very little, but I think you could grind a whole beef up, you know, just debone it out. We've done deer that way, so I'm sure you could do cattle that way, and butcher one yourself. And people are around here. People are butchering them themselves. That's another thing to think about. Also, is the slaughter facilities in our area here are actually booking into next year. And I had some of our viewers comment that it's the same thing in their area. So you might want to contact them and see how long it's going to be. And if it's going to be a year, then you could be getting your animal prepared. So then if a year from now, you'd be able to get it in. So if you got a 400-pounder that was 6 months old and you wait another year, then that puts you at 18 months old, which would give you the optimal size if you had a place to put them. If you don't have, then you definitely want to consider all that. So if somebody's offering 12 to 1,500 pound grain-fed steers, I'd say that's a pretty good deal, or something to look at depending on the price. You know, if you go to the store and you pay $8 a pound, was what the stores around here are now are for hamburger meat, and steaks are much higher. So, you know, for a little while it should start coming back down. As of yesterday, the beef cutout price, they call it, the price that the slaughterhouses sell to the stores for, had broke records still. And yesterday evening, at the close of the trading sessions, the price will start to come back down. So maybe it's peaked for now, but we're probably going to see, and if you know anything about prices, once they go up, they may come back down some, but they never get back to where they were. So if you're thinking about raising your own meat, now's the time. I hope this answered your question. If you have a question, I'll certainly try to answer you the best I can. I might have missed a question that someone's asked lately, but I tried to get the most important questions regarding raising or butchering your own beef. I keep saying raising, but a lot of folks are wanting to just go buy one like at a cattle sale or for an individual and take it straight on to a slaughter facility, and that's kind of complicated if there's nowhere to take it to. So you want to make sure you have somewhere to take it to, because if you buy one from somebody, they may say you have 30 days to get it, you need to pay us for it, and if you haven't slaughtered it, come and got it, whatever, in 30 days, there's a possibility you would lose the animal. So just keep that in. What I mean by lose, they may say, okay, we fed it 30 days for you, we're keeping the animal, you've lost your money, we're moving on. Just be careful about that. Even in farming, most farmers and ranchers I know are the most honest people there are, but there's people that will take advantage of you if they can. And there's people going and buying. Right now, it's got a little piece of property. They're going and buying stuff from the sale barns, bringing it home, advertising on Craigslist too, saying, hey, we got beef for sale, and you don't know where in the world that came from. One thing I like about raising my own beef here on our homestead is we don't give them anything. I mean, as far as they don't get hormones, that kind of stuff. I do worm. I don't have a problem worming, but otherwise, and if we rarely, it's very seldom that when I'm trying to think when a calf, it's been a long time, several years since anything's had antibiotics as far as our calves. We have had a time or two that cows got sick, but we, you hold off and don't sell them for at least 60 days or so, and the same with calves if we did. But, I don't like to eat one for ourselves. I wouldn't want to eat one that has been given antibiotics or hormones. That's just something in me, and probably there's nothing wrong with it, but I just feel I just don't want to do it. So that's one nice thing here. What we sell hasn't been given stuff, and so we do our best to raise stuff that someone could take and just immediately go out and butcher if they wanted, and we would feel comfortable about it. Now, usually ours are weaned at 6 months old, and someone will buy them and they'll take them out and do whatever they want to with them. They may immediately give them hormones, they probably immediately give them antibiotics, whatever, and the race is on from there, and we can have no control over that. But anyway, I appreciate you watching today. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our channel. If you have a question, once again, leave it down in the comments sections. If you want to help our channel, the way you can help us is giving us a thumbs up and subscribing. That's the best way to help promote our channel, to keep us going here. And we certainly appreciate you watching today. May God richly bless you. And we'll see you next time here on Cedar Creek Homestead. We're gone.